Hi everyone, welcome back to this channel of crafting, crochet and knitting. My name is Nikki and welcome to my little yarniverse. So hello, welcome back if you're a returning viewer. As always, let me know in the comment section what you're making right now. I love to hear what everybody is getting up to. I have got a few things to show you and I'm making use of the fact that we have got some glorious winter sunshine to record this video. So if you've been watching since Christmas, you'll know that I actually got a little lighting sort of halo to help with these videos, because my winter videos are like usually really dingy lighting and I was thinking, yes, I've got this light, it's going to really help, and then we've actually had glorious weather. So yes, I am making use of that to show you what I've been working on. I hope you have seen the last couple of videos, because in one of those videos I spoke about my plans to reduce my stash in 2022. Not completely get rid of it, but just reduce it. Now that does not mean that I'm not going to be doing yarn hauls, because I know you guys love it when I go to yarn shops and film there and do yarn hauls, but I'm just being more choosy about the yarns that I do pick, and in the meantime I'm trying to make sure that I actually use some of those yarns that I've bought in the past to make the projects I intended to make with them. So, having said that, I did say in that video that there was a couple of cardigans that I'd already made up, and I'm now going to show them to you. So, here we have the first. So these are both made with a lovely Magic Aran, it was called. It wasn't even like a really branded thing. I think I just got it from like Pound Stretcher or something. But they had this lovely self-striping yarn in, and I wanted to try it out, and it looks so good. So really happy with how this came out. Not gonna lie, the yarn did have some faults. So there were a few occasions where there was knots, and there was also a few occasions, if I turn this around, where the colour was not in place. And yes, unfortunately I didn't spot this fast enough to realise what was going down, and so it's kind of stuck there. But in the other cardigan I just about spotted it, and I did decide, actually I'm going to frog this back, I'm going to cut this bit out and I'm going to rejoin it. But that's fine, I hid it on the back. So this is the front of it, you can hardly tell. It's a really lovely colourway. I decided this time round not to try and line up the pattern on the sleeves with the pattern on the jumper. So I found when I did the last cardigan, which was the accidental Christmas cardigan, that the sleeve was really thick from all the ends that I was trying to weave in, and so I just thought, let's not do that again. It's going to be uncomfortable for a child wearing it, and really it's not that bad as long as the arms match, right? Like, I don't think that that's too problematic. It's different, but I don't think it's terrible. I don't know, let me know in the comments what you think. I don't think it's so bad. It gives the pattern a chance to come out a little bit more, so you can see all the different colours that are in these bottom patches here that you can't quite tell, sort of on the yoke especially, because there's so many stitches around the yoke that you can't see all the colour. So I think it's fine. And yeah, so like in the yoke it's different. Okay, it's not that much different, but it is different up here to in the main body when you lose stitches. So I don't know, am I just trying to justify it to myself? What do you think? Let me know. I like that this was a really nice earthy colourway, because a lot of the yarn I find in stores like Pound Stretcher and B&M and Pound World, I feel like there's another one I'm missing, maybe no, not the Works. I've seen lots of different colours in the Works, but in those other shops I usually only see like blues and pinks and whites, and you know me, that's not going to fly. So when I actually found this Magic Aran, and there was a really nice grey and red colourway, there was this really nice earthy colourway, I think there was a blue one, but there was also this really colourful pastel one, and I just thought that like finally, thank you, something different. And I picked these up. Really big balls of yarn actually. I think each one, I want to say each one was 400, but I don't think it was that big. So maybe each one was 200 and it was Aran. But then I done this on one ball, and I also did this with one ball. So they were either 200 or 300. I'm pretty confident they were not 400-gram balls of yarn. The labels have gone. I'm not keeping labels anymore. I've decided that, like, I have a bag of labels and it's pointless because for the most part I know what this yarn is. But yes, this is the next one. Another beautiful colourway. Really, really lovely. I mean, it's kind of pastel rainbow, but it's also kind of not pastel. It's quite bright. And then it was in this section of like purple and cream that I had another piece of yarn that wasn't dyed. So I didn't quite spot it at first, but I thought, hang on a minute, where's all the little purple flecks that were appearing? Because they were sort of like every, like, what, maybe 10 centimetres, there was a little purple fleck. And I thought, I'm not getting any of those, what's happened? And then I realised that it was white and not cream, and it did stick out. And so I thought, well, actually, let's rub that back and redo that. So yeah, we did have to fix the yarn a little bit, but for the most part it's come out really well. I've done the thing with the sleeves again where I have just left it, and this one's slightly bigger. Let's see if I can hold them up together. Now the stitch count is exactly the same in both of these, but I wanted to use it as an experiment in what happens if you actually change your needles between the rib stitch cuffs and the body of the work. So this is 4mm on the cuffs in both cases, but I changed to a 5mm on the pastel, and I did do it slightly longer because of that, because I could see that it was coming out wider. There is maybe about 1.5 inches extra circumference in the pastel than there is in the like earthy tones, and that's purely because I went up a needle size. It's also kind of a little looser to feel than this one. This is quite tightly made. It's quite a tight fabric, and it's not bad. I can still use this for sure on a slightly smaller child, but I just was quite interested because I get to the point where I start the yoke, and every single time I'm so focused on making sure that I get the seam for the arm in the right place that I totally forget to swap my needles to the next size up, which is, like, you're supposed to do that because that's what's gonna give the rib stitch that kind of springy tightness that's gonna like clip around your arms, clip around your torso, and keep all the air in nice and warm. So it's, like I say, it's not terrible, like it's still quite springy, but I did find that switching to the 5s definitely helped with this one to kind of keep the general material not too tight. So yes, remember to change your needles. So really happy with that, and then switch down. The other thing I absolutely loved about these two projects is that this time round I actually had some double pointed needles to do the sleeves. Such a lifesaver. I've got circular knitting needles, but each of my interchangeable needles for that set are still about that long. You can't do smaller circumferences with needles that long, it doesn't work. So casting on the neckline was difficult, but I could just about magic loop. But doing the sleeve, like the sleeve is so much thinner than the neck, it would not have worked without these double pointed needles, and it just made the whole experience so much more enjoyable. It meant that I could actually do the sleeves in the round, so with the accidental Christmas cardigan I had to go backwards and forwards because I just physically couldn't do it with my circular needles. So the sleeve has got a seam down here, and then, like I said, that's also like loads thicker because that's where all of the colour changes was, to try and make sure that the body pattern and the sleeve pattern matched. So I think a car just backfired. I hope you didn't hear that on the video, but if you heard like a bang, nobody died. It's just it was just a car exhaust. Where was I? Yeah, doing the sleeve in the round with double pointed needles, those ones that I showed in my video that I sort of inherited for Christmas. I had 4s in those. I took a little ruler with those measuring devices in it and checked them. I have 4 mils and I have 5 mils, just about. So they worked quite nicely, and I checked against my interchangeable needles and they matched quite well. So that was really good. That made the experience better. And the other thing that I did was I cast on the stitches. using a long tail cast on. Now, you might be looking at me thinking, why didn't you use a long tail cast on before? Like, how are you only just finding out about this? I found out about this a while ago, but I just didn't invest my time in doing it for every project I made. And then I thought about how much yarn I had for these cardigans, and the fact, not for these cardigans, sorry, for these jumpers, and the fact that they were a jumper and not cardigan, so they had to go over someone's head. And I thought, actually, let's make this stretchy, and I did a long tail cast on. And it wasn't too difficult, and there was a little hack video that I saw where they said to basically wrap the yarn around your needle for as many stitches as you're casting on, and then that's where you should start, and that should be fine. And that worked really well. I added a few extra just to be careful and made sure that I had quite a long tail before I started wrapping, but that worked out really well. So I love this jumper, it's so pretty. I don't know how I managed to witter on about 2 jumpers for like 10 minutes, but I do have some other stuff to quickly show you before I go, and that is one thing to do, well actually no, both things to do with the sash busting. So quickly is my next pile of yarn. So in the stash busting video, I spoke about how one of my tactics is to stick yarn on my desk so that it is just physically in my way and it's not sat on my shelf where it's too easy to forget about. So this is my next pile. These are 400 gram balls, so that is definitely going to be enough to make a jumper for me. So this is my first attempt at making a fairly plain jumper, just to see if I can adjust the fit at all, to try that long tail cast on for my neckline, and just to pave the way for some Fair Isle design in the future. So yes, that's going to be that one. And I've also still got this very colourful ball of yarn, which I got out. That's maybe just enough to do like a child's vest or something. So I'm going to try to get a vest or a cardigan or a jumper out of that, but we will see, because it's only one ball. So it's a bit hit and miss whether I get the sleeves. So that's the plan. And the other stash reducing thing is my mum's granny square blanket, which we have been working on for the most part. So before we just had panels, we now have the whole blanket so far sewn together, and that makes it, I think I did 6 by 9. So it's all stitched together, and I wanted to start working out how much yarn I needed for the border. So what I did was I took a fresh ball and started making this border edge. There's going to be another brown. So it's about half the blanket so far. That took about 10 grams of each colour so far. It's going to be double that for the entire border, and then it's also going to be probably another on top of that for the final round of brown. So it's looking like I have plenty of yarn left to make the blanket, at least 8 by 9, if not 9 by 9. So we have been starting work on that already. So that's the finished row 7 from when I was planning to do a 7 by 9. That's fine. And then we have been working on the next set, so that's another row. I just haven't done the final brown around that. But yeah, that's pretty good progress. We are nearly there. I did this in a day, in a work day, so actually more like an evening. So that's pretty good progress. I think that we're going to be done. Today's the weekend. I tend to typically film on the weekends, so I think that we are going to be possibly done with the granny squares over the weekend, and starting to put these together in 3x3 panels that can then be attached to the main blanket. And then I can finish the border. So I think I've probably only got maybe like another week of actual crochet to do for this project, and then possibly like another 2 or 3 weeks of sewing in the ends. Oh, I hate sewing in the ends, but you can see there's so many of them. I really should have done this as I went. I sort of did half of them as I went, and then left some of the others. So yeah, it's going to take longer to do that. But that's going to be like staying motivated, and I'm just sort of hoping that the fact that the cake's ready will keep me going and I can just tie those up and get it gifted. So yes, I'm now covered in yarn. I'm going to leave it there for today. I said that it was a pretty jam-packed episode. I still haven't even shown you everything that I've been making recently. I've got one item that's sat on the side that's like, please put me in your video, and I haven't got an appropriate video to stick it in yet, so there's at least one item that's kind of waiting to be shown. So hopefully that will not be too long in the future. And yeah, I'm gonna hopefully go and finish this blanket, edit up this video, and then start on this jumper. So I will wrap the video up there. Just one other thing to note is to make sure that you have your say in the comments of the Crochet Society unboxing box 29 video. I do want to hear what you think of the projects that are in that box, whether I should do one of those with the yarn I was given or whether I should do a different pattern, and if you've got a different pattern in mind then let me know. But yeah, so do make sure that you check out that video and let me know what you think of the unboxing. And yeah, I'm going to leave it there. I'll see you in another video. Bye for now.